You mentioned Grant Cardone. I have a pretty cool story about Grant Cardone. I lost a deal with him. We were going to do a collaboration with Motive, and I sent him some gear. He promoted it. Like, I have some pictures of him wearing the Motive stuff. Nice. Elena Cardone wearing the Motive stuff. Elena and I are pretty connected through like DMs. And so we started talking about like doing collaboration, 10X and Motive collaboration. But this is like the beginning. I'm like 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Don't know what I'm doing, but I set everything up to look really, really like big. Like, the Instagram was consistent for years, for like 2 years. It had a lot of followers. The branding was on point. The website was on point. So they thought it was a big business.
Yep.
And then when they came under the, like, they started looking at like the business, like, this is not a big business.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, hit us up when you're like, bigger. I basically lost a deal though because of my email.
Oh.
I emailed. I don't want to put her name out, but one of the people out there that works on Grant Cardone's team, I emailed her with a presidentmotive.co@gmail.com. And they said, okay, we started looking, once we saw your email, we started looking into your business and realized you're not at the level that we are for a collaboration.
Right.
But in the future, reach back out.
Yeah.
And I was like, my email. And ever since then, at motivestore.com, at the business that I have, to make sure that they know it's legit. So lost a deal with Grant Cardone on that. Could have had a collaboration, but it's going to happen. I mean, our paths crossed so many times that one day.
Hey, and like you said about, when, your perspective on things like that, that maybe that deal would have ruined your company. You never know.
Who knows? Yeah. Right? Yeah. It wasn't my
happens.
time. Yeah. Cause it honestly wasn't ready for growth.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, now I just jumped back into Motive because I put it on the shelf for a couple of years while I built the agency.
Yep.
Agency is now successful. Now have time, resources, money to go back into the brand.
Yep.
I have a whole like supply chain like in LA where they manufacture, get the fabrics, cut and sew, patterns. Like, there's a whole process to really do this at scale that when I was younger, I was like, oh, it would have destroyed me if Grant Cardone actually accepted it and then they said, we have this many orders.
Yeah,
there's no way I wouldn't have been able to handle that. No way.
Yeah.
I was taking the shirts myself to get tags placed on at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made sense why it didn't happen.
That's so cool. So if somebody wants to start a clothing brand, like, where do they start? How did you stumble upon that? I know that in high school you would draw it and things like that, but how did you actually go from it being in your mind to a physical thing? Well,
for me, it's not just about the clothing. It's about who wears the clothing, right? And it's the lifestyle, for me at least, for my brand. I started thinking about, like, who am I and, like, what would I want to wear, right? And why do I want to wear it? I'm an entrepreneur. I want something simple. So my stuff is really, really simple. And also I want something that's good for me. Anything I do, like food or whatever, I always look at what goes in my body, and clothing, like, that goes on the body. What goes on the body goes in the body. A lot of people don't know that. Your skin is like the biggest organ of your body.
Yeah.
And I started doing my research. Most cotton t-shirts have over 8,000 chemicals in one t-shirt.
Yep.
And not only is it bad for you because there's chemicals going into your body, but the process on the back end is bad for the people like I don't want to put out these names, but H&M, Nike, all those companies, they have like, really cheap ways of making their clothing, but it harms the environment and it harms the people that are making the clothing and their area that they live in, wherever it may be.
Right.
I started looking at that. I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to do that. Clothing is the second largest pollution industry in the world.
Right.
And so I started using sustainable and organic materials, bamboo being one of the biggest materials that we use.
Yep.
It's not only super, super comfy, but there's no chemicals and it's better for you, better for the planet. And I'm creating something that I feel like I would want to wear. And that's where I started, create something that you would want. And that's what Elon Musk talks about. Like, I just created a car that I wanted to drive. I'm glad other people do it. And I feel like that's the best way of looking at it. Just create something that you love, that you like. You'll find other people that will like it the same.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that when it comes to thinking bigger, a lot of people want to start a clothing brand. They want to start a business, but they just don't. And I did this for a long time where I remember somebody said, yeah, one day you'll probably build and sell businesses. And my dad actually said that. And I was like, the fuck is this guy talking about? And I just didn't believe it. But eventually I started thinking bigger and started realizing there's more and more possibilities. Like, oh, maybe I can do this little business. Maybe I could do this and that. And I think that when people start to think bigger, like, obviously you were thinking at a much higher level than most, younger people.
Meditation.
Yeah. Do you think that helped you?
Huge.